Hello, good morning. Well, I went out for my early morning walk, but I couldn't find anybody I could blur out. So I decided to come back inside and be a talking head. And in doing so, I had a notification from one of the channels that I watch on a regular basis. Not every day, but on a regular basis. It's Philly in the Philippines. I used to watch him way back when he and his wife ran a sari store, like a little grocery store as well. It was really entertaining, interesting chat in the background, and an insight into running effectively a successful business here in the Philippines, which is extremely hard given that every man and his dog wants to open up another one just a couple of doors down from you when you start to make some good business. But he moved from that sari because, again, the landlord wanted his property. Don't know what actually happened to it, whether they built a high rise or another big commercial property there, but things moved on and they shut their business down. And they went on and they moved in from one place to another. And then you saw them living in a really nice rental property with a little sari on the front. Not sure whether they actually had it running. I don't think they did. But it was everyday thoughts from an American's point of view of life here in the Philippines. Brian, who is the main man, used to walk up and down what was then called Walking Street. And as a result, we got to see the little different characters that wandered around during the daytime in what was otherwise referred to maybe as the red light district of Angeles City. He gave us an insight as to what was going on, and he also, in doing so, he provided us also with an insight also to some of the locals who live and ply their trade there in the Philippines, in Angeles City. But like all good things, they all come to an end, and it's no longer Walking Street, it's now called the Red Street. I wonder why. It's been taken over by a lot of Koreans, maybe Americans, Australians owning them, the bars. And all bars are, in a sense, fly-by-night businesses. They come and go, they revamp, they try and inject more enthusiasm into their business. But Brian and his wife and daughter decided that was enough for them. They were going to have the opportunity of going back to where her family come from. And they went to live on an island down south. And we followed them. The renovation and additions that were added to his home were great to watch. They are great to watch. But he has a big following of obviously Americans. And many of them were doubters and knockers of his channel, which I think shows the mentality of so many of the not so helpful viewers that watch each other's channels. This is not a blog or a content to knock Brian and his Philly in the Philippines. If anything, it's to praise the boldness that he always has been, one to speak his mind. And he opens up with the idea that he's now on a beach. And the heading and the concept is, where have all the tourists gone? And it's quite true, there are less and less tourists coming here. Statistics will show you that. And one does wonder when they bring out a updated version of what they believe to be helpful in the community with the recent amendment, we'll call it, to a possible amendment to the Privacy Act here in the Philippines. There's Privacy Acts everywhere in the world, and as he very rightly says, Brian, go and ask a lawyer, because common sense has to start somewhere. And there has been an absolute barrage of bloggers out there, including myself, who've tried to inform you at least of the sometimes ludicrous and really scratching one's head ideas that come from bureaucrats everywhere in the world. And the only person really who can give you a boots on the ground idea of what you're really supposed to follow in terms of guidelines will be an attorney. It won't cost you a lot of money. It will be an eye-opener maybe. It might even make you just change your... it'll give you a reset as to how you best maybe deal with it for future. With everything that happens in the world, there's always another door opening, and it's a little bit discerning that with a country, especially the Philippines, in a way known for the many scams that can be enacted here, that you don't have to turn very long. The news from local GMA or, was it 24 hours news, to discover that many illegal situations and scams take place here. Scams in relation to putting money into betting, putting money into all aspects. You think about it, somebody's come up with a scam from a low level to an organized situation with foreign nationals involved, many from China. And the trouble with the privacy situation is trying to attempt to make people more aware that we do have some rights to our own privacy. And in the real world, most people would just say, oh, do you mind not filming me? Or show some indication that they don't want it. And that's fair enough. So what you would do is you'd remove that from your actual video itself. And that's a reasonable expectation from most people. But we're living in the Philippines, remember. So remember that they're always looking for a way to make money. And who better to help them than a nice little law of the Privacy Act? And of course, if you have your intention to participate in making somebody's life miserable, how better than to use the Privacy Act? After all, it can ruin a Filipina the same way as it can ruin a foreigner. And the underlying difficulty here is that we should be encouraging people to come to the Philippines. We should be promoting by our own videos, walking around, showing people what the Philippines is like and what the neighborhood is like. We shouldn't be hiding behind a cloak of fear that we're going to be prosecuted because we've done a scene down the street or through a local market. Showing people exactly what a market is like, showing the buzz, the excitement, the hustle and bustle of a street in Manila. Everyone off to do their own thing. We don't want the Philippines to become video bloggers with blurred out visions of human beings. I mean, who's going to come to a country where everybody's blurred out. Okay, there'll be crime scenes blurred out. There'll be accidents blurred out. And obviously, if there's an accident, you can film the accident as a general sense, I would think. But maybe not. Maybe, obviously, in bad taste if you show the blood and gore of an accident, but you can surely show that somebody was injured and that help is on its way. You don't have to show their face. If somebody has died, the idea that you're showing a loved one in a sense in pieces on the ground, that obviously is in bad taste, and clearly it would be advisable if you had to film it at all, and one would wonder why, then obviously block out the face of the victim. And that's really what I think Brian was talking about, in as much that all of these things don't go very well, don't fit that well to the idea that the Philippines should be promoting itself, not trying to create situations that scare people away. And one of those things is, in society, is this feeling of always worried about being sued, always worried about doing the right thing. I mean, come on guys, even if we come from America and Australia and England, we have got some common sense, one would hope. But we don't overstep the mark. We don't all have to behave like Vitali. And thank you, Vitali, because those sorts of things prompt ideas in little bureaucrats' minds, and they come up with these rearrangements of reinterpretations of the law, which they're entitled to do. That's their job. But guys, let's not give them more rope. Let's try and promote the Philippines. Let's not be scared to show the happiness, the beauty of the Philippines. Not just the beaches, but interaction with different people. You know, putting a camera in someone's face when they're eating, probably not the best idea, but you can at least show what kind of food you're eating. Going to the night market and filming all the different foods that are eating, and as a general rule, a wide-angle view of people sitting down as families enjoying an evening out. After all, they've probably got their cameras out anyway, and they'll be plastering it all over Facebook and what's that other one, TikTok. So it's not just for you and me, it's not just for foreigners, it's for everyone. And you can imagine the scrambling around, trying to find editing tools, where you now have all these aliens around you with no faces. The smiling faces of the Philippines. Where are they? Oh, they're behind the blur. The blur look of the Philippines will be the heading. The blur look of the beaches. The blur look, I mean, come on. Any person with any common sense would know that that's not the objective of the law. And it is, in fact, the law anyway. All they're talking about is enacting a memorandum, a variation. It's like when you're in the building industry, you have the building code, and then every month or every week somebody comes up with a new product. Hence, there's a need to alter, put an attachment to what is an already existing building code. It's no different, guys, it's no different. So stop panicking. If you're in doubt, go and spend a couple of thousand pesos and go and ask one of these learned lawyers. But just remember, some lawyers have learnt marriage, some lawyers have learnt property, some lawyers have just learnt basic law. So make sure you go to one that specialises in the area of privacy, so that you get a common sense understanding of what and what you can't do. And thank you, Brian, for providing a breath of fresh air, an opportunity for us to step back and realize that we don't need to panic. We don't need to create more reasons for people to bypass the Philippines as a place to come. Let's celebrate living here. Let's advertise the fact that everybody is so beautiful, so friendly, lived in places, beautiful places, not such beautiful places. They're still all lovely Filipino. And we need to remember that. We are ambassadors of our own country, but we're also there to promote living here in the Philippines. So let's just focus on that. We don't all have to be talking faces. I do go out there sometimes, and many of you have followed me on my trips. So you all have a great day. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Important that you do that. I always press the thumbs up first before I start watching the video. It's great because it brings other people to your channel. And it's not always about being monetized. This channel is not monetized. I've got no particular wish to. The other one is monetized, but when it's no longer needed, it will stop. There is no necessity if there is a necessity for money from YouTube to survive, then I suggest maybe we're in the wrong frame of life. You don't make lots of money on YouTube, unless of course you're Tim Kay, but he makes millions apparently. No, he doesn't. We all get our little, it's just beer money, that's all it is. And after all, a lot of what you're hearing in terms of regulations and ideas that are hitting the airwaves or the YouTube waves is really just another example of governments trying to be smart, I suppose, smart in terms of clever. They think they're going to somehow increase tourism. I don't think so. In fact, if anything, it's going to scare more people away. So let's do our bit to re-encourage people to come and watch and look and experience the Philippines firsthand. Bye now.